Hi everyone, and welcome back to Purpose to Love. My name is Randy, and if you happen to enjoy this video, please like, share, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button so you make sure you get all of my content when I upload it. So what I want to talk about today is experiential learning. Experiential learning is basically just hands-on learning for the student. This type of learning or teaching technique is really good for all students of all learning types, but especially for those with special needs. It helps to make the material or the information more comprehensive, more practical and tangible, and leaving it to be more memorable. So they'll probably remember the information that you're teaching connected to the activity or the game or the experience that they're doing. So with experiential learning, there is a systematic way of doing it. First, you want to present the new topic and you want to teach on it. Then you want to discuss it with the student. And then you want to have an experience. You want to have the activity, the game. You want to be out in nature or out in the community to relate that to what you just learned. And then you want to discuss it again. You want to pull on the experience that the student just had to draw on the information that you're teaching them to kind of help them reiterate it, make it more tangible for them. And then you will follow up usually with some type of testing or something to show that they understand the material or the topic at hand. So I have an example of experiential learning. So this was with two of my students in the past. And at the time I was working at the secondary program or high school. And one of the students was 16 or 17. They both were 16 or 17. And one of the students was completely blind and he used Braille to read. I believe at the time he was reading at about a third grade level maybe. And he had intellectual disabilities. He was really funny, really sweet. He loved music, loved to sing, and that would get him in trouble sometimes because sometimes he wasn't supposed to be singing in class, but he did love music. And he loved to sing and he liked to play the drums and he was actually really good. He was actually really good at it. And the other student also had a visual impairment. He had cortical visual impairment, CVI, and he had intellectual disabilities as well. He also had some behavioral challenges, which required him to have behavioral supports and have a one-on-one. He had more significant needs. He needed to have kind of like a shadow with him, someone just to help him get through the day. Sometimes we didn't know why, but he would kind of lash out or he would hit. And sometimes we could tell what the antecedent was, what the precursor was to why he was doing what he was doing. But other times we didn't really know. So he was kind of a toss-up. But so he had a staff that was with him pretty much all day. And but we had a fun class. We were busy. We were definitely busy. And this is our English class. And at the time we were discussing the season of winter. And I believe it had a story box. We worked really closely with the speech therapist. And they created these story boxes that had a book and then some objects that were related to the book. So it had like mittens in there. It had a scarf. It had some other items in there as well. Like some tangible symbols that kind of express winter, maybe like a Christmas tree or something talking about the different seasons. So we discussed different aspects of it, and then we got to the point where we were talking about fun things to do in the season of winter. I said, well, what are some fun things, guys? What are some fun things to do for the season of winter? And one of the students said, have a snowball fight. And the other one said, make a snowman. And I was like, yeah, those are all really great. Those are awesome. What about, ice skating? And they're like, ice skating? What's that? And I was like, what do you mean, what is that? I was like, do you not know what ice skating is? They're like, no. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, guys, ice skating is really fun. There's like this big, floor of ice and you get to slide on it and you wear these special shoes to do it. And they were just like, we don't know what you're talking about. They just really they couldn't understand or get the concept of sliding. I told them, try moving your feet and it's kind of like that, or, it's really cold and, but still they were not fully grasping it. And so we were talking and I was like, well, hey guys, I just had this light bulb go off. And I was like, well, hey guys, what do you think about going ice skating? Would you want to do that? And they're like, yeah, let's go ice skating. And I was like, yeah. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be hard. Taking two blind kids ice skating is difficult. That's difficult. So yes. But it was something I felt like really needed to happen. I really wanted them to experience it. I thought to myself, like, by 16 or 17, I had already ice skated. They should be able to experience that as well. So we got started. So now that, I have committed to these students that we're going to go ice skating, that meant we had to do a lot of preparation. So with experiential learning, sometimes it can be really simple, but then me being me, I guess I had to make it difficult. And I chose the most probably complicated thing to do with these students, but I thought it was going to be really fun, and I felt like they needed the opportunity to experience ice skating. And so, because it's not an easy thing to do, taking two blind students to go ice skating is difficult. With ice skating, you need balance. You need to see what you're doing. It can be a little dangerous because you got those, blades on the shoes it can be a lot. But I felt like it was still something that they needed to experience. I guess it was my stubborn side, but I wanted them to experience it. So I pulled together the other teachers and other staff TAs that I was working with to see if they could help me move my schedule around, because this particular English class was kind of right before lunch. So I had students before this particular class, and I had students after. So I had to really move my schedule around a lot. But thankfully, I was at a school where the director and the teachers and therapists, everyone was always on board with, providing the most access and opportunity for the students to learn and grow and experience new things. So I really felt supported in this. I just had to move things around, and I had to pray for good weather, because this particular ice skating rink was outside, and it's not a popular location, but it's outside, so you're really at the mercy of the weather. So I was able to get my schedule moved around, the weather was looking good, and so we got ourselves ready to go. But in order to prep and prepare for this, that meant I had to create like a list for my students to explain step by step what we were doing, especially for one of my students who needed the one-on-one support. He really benefited from having a very explicit outline of the day, just so he wouldn't get anxious or have really any emotional confusion around what was going on, or because he was very sensitive to the environment and his schedule changing and things like that. So I had to make sure I had everything lined up, and we reviewed our rules, we reviewed what was going to be expected, and it was very explicit. It was like, you're going to come to the classroom at this time. We're going to review our rules. We're going to get in the van. We're going to drive there. We're going to do this. It was very explicit, just so that they had an idea what was going on, because it's a new thing. And sometimes for students, especially with those with special needs, if it's a new thing, a new experience, it can be very overwhelming. So having a very explicit outline of what's going to happen can help them feel more at ease. So after we did all those things, and then we also had to go buy our lunch before we went to the ice skating rink, and so that was an experience too, because I think we went to Subway. But I'm the kind of person where everything's a learning experience. So I'm like, you have your own money, you're gonna order your own food, so make sure you know what you want to eat. We talked about these things beforehand, so when we got there, it wasn't like, what should we get? So, and then we even utilized the time in the van to review things, make sure we were reviewing our rules, make sure we were reviewing our expectations of how we should be acting while we're out, and we're doing different things, and allowing staff to help you. All those things, I really had to embed it into their minds before, during, and while we were even there. So those were just the things that to kind of help us get ready for our experience. And then we also talked about I think I showed them a video and I had to explain it to one of my students, but my other student can kind of see it. So I showed them a video on ice skating. We discussed that, and there's ice skating in the Olympics, and people do it for fun, and all these different things. So they could have a better understanding of what ice skating meant. Here you see a picture of my staff helping out the student with his ice skates. And here you have my two staff helping out the student ice skating a little bit around the rink. So needless to say, the students had a great time, the staff had a great time, we all had a great time, and I was so happy that it all worked out and it went well. Nothing crazy happened, everyone was safe, and I'm glad I had those two extra staff. It made a huge difference in order for them to really gain a lot out of the experience. I feel like it would have been rushed if it was just me and one other person. So it was really great to have two staff and then myself there to help, the students really enjoy the moment. They got to physically see and kind of touch and feel what it feels like to wear skates, ice skates, and what that looks like and what that felt like. They got to feel what it feels like to slide, to slide on ice. Sliding is not really a concept you can really get if you don't physically do it. So they got to experience that. We had a great time. It was awesome. So I just felt very blessed to have, the staffing that I did and the support that I did. It was something that I'll always remember, and I hope that the students will too. But that is my experiential learning example of what we did. Oh, and then when we came back into the classroom, we didn't have enough time that specific day to go over the information, but the next day we did talk about it some more, and we had some vocabulary words and things like that to kind of help reiterate this experience. So it was really great. I was happy to be a part of it, and my staff and everyone just made it wonderful. So that is my experiential learning story, part 1. I have a couple more, but I hope this was beneficial and you learned something from it. If anything, it was something interesting to listen to. But that's all I have for now, and I hope to see you next week. Every Wednesday I'll be posting. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get the information when I post it. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.